Billionaire falls in love with homeless girl. Must-see ending. The incessant rain pattered against the tinted windows of the sleek black Bentley as it glided through the rain-slicked streets of New York City. Inside, sheltered from the dreary weather, sat Alexander Thornton, his steel-gray eyes fixed on the financial report open on his tablet. 45. Alexander was at the pinnacle of his career, a self-made billionaire, whose ruthless business acumen had built Thornton Industries into a global powerhouse. As the car slowed to a stop at a red light, Alexander glanced up from his screen, his gaze falling on a huddled figure on the sidewalk. A young woman, barely more than a girl really, was crouched beneath a tattered umbrella, small frame shivering in the cold. Despite the grime on her face and the worn state of her clothes, there was something about her caught Alexander's attention. Perhaps it was the determined set of her jaw as she sketched in a battered notebook, seemingly oblivious to the bustling city around her. Or maybe it was the flash of vibrant color from the mural behind her, a stark contrast to the gray day and the girl's disheveled appearance. Before he could analyze his actions, Alexander found himself calling out to his driver, "Pull over, James." The driver, accustomed to his employer's occasional eccentricities, smoothly guided the car to the curb. Alexander stepped out, his Italian leather shoes splashing in a puddle as he approached the young woman. Up close, he could see that she was even younger than he'd first thought, probably in her early 20s. Her long, dark hair was tangled and damp from the rain, and her clothes, while clean, patched and worn. "Excuse me," Alexander said, his deep voice causing the girl to start and look up. Her eyes, a startling shade of green, met his with a mix of wariness and curiosity. "I couldn't help but notice your drawing," he continued, gesturing to the notebook in her hands. "May I see it?" The girl hesitated for a moment, then slowly turned the notebook around. Alexander's breath caught in his throat. The sketch, though rough, was undeniably talented. It captured the essence of the mural behind her, but with an added depth and emotion that transformed the scene. "This is remarkable," Alexander said, genuine admiration in his voice. "Do you have formal training?" The girl shook her head, a faint blush coloring her cheeks. "No, sir. Just something I like to do." Alexander made a split-second decision, one that would change both their lives forever. "I'm Alexander Thornton," he said, extending his hand. "And you are?" "Lily," she replied softly, her small hand disappearing into his larger one as she shook it. "Lily Parker." "Well, Lily Parker, how would you like to get out of this rain and have a cup of coffee? I'd love to see more of your work." Lily's eyes widened in surprise, then narrowed with suspicion. "Why?" she asked bluntly. "What's in it for you?" Alexander was taken aback by her directness, but he found it refreshing. Too many people in his world were sycophants, agreeing with his every word in hopes of currying favor. This girl, with nothing to her name, had the courage to question his motives. He smiled, a genuine smile that softened the hard lines of his face. "Honestly, I'm not entirely sure, but I know talent when I see it, and I'm curious to learn more. No strings attached, I promise. Just coffee and conversation." Lily studied him for a long moment, weighing her options. Finally, with a small nod, she gathered her meager belongings and stood. "Okay," he said, "but I choose the place." Alexander agreed, and soon found himself following Lily through the rain-soaked streets. She led him to a small, hole-in-the-wall cafe tucked away in a side alley. The interior was warm and cozy, filled with mismatched furniture and the rich aroma of freshly brewed coffee. As they settled into a worn but comfortable booth, Alexander couldn't help but notice the way Lily relaxed, some of the tension leaving her shoulders. It was clear this was a familiar safe haven for her. A kind-faced older woman approached their table, her eyes lighting up when she saw Lily. "There you are, dear. I was getting worried with this weather. The usual?" Lily nodded, a small smile gracing her lips. "Yes, please, Martha." "And?" She glanced at Alexander questioningly. "Black coffee, please," he said, earning an approving nod from Lily. As Martha bustled away to prepare their orders, an awkward silence fell between them. Alexander, used to commanding boardrooms and navigating high-stakes negotiations, found himself at a loss for words. Lily, for her part, seemed content to wait him out, her green eyes studying him with a mix of curiosity and caution. Finally, Alexander cleared his throat. "Oh, Lily, how long have you been drawing?" Question seemed to break the ice. Lily's eyes lit up as she began to speak about her passion for art. She told him about discovering her love for drawing as a child, how it had been her escape and solace through difficult times. As she spoke, Alexander found himself captivated not just by her words, but by the way her whole demeanor changed. The guarded, wary girl was replaced by an animated young woman, her hands gesturing expressively as she described her favorite artists and techniques. Their coffees arrived, along with a plate of warm scones that Martha insisted Lily needed to put some meat on those bones. As they sipped and nibbled, the conversation flowed more easily. Alexander shared stories of his own childhood love for building and creating, which had eventually led him to found his technology empire. "But enough about me," he said, leaning forward with genuine interest. "I'd love to see more of your work. You're willing to share." Lily hesitated for a moment, then slowly opened her notebook. Page after page was filled with sketches and drawings, cityscapes, portraits, abstract pieces that seemed to capture pure emotion on paper. Alexander was impressed not just by the technical skill, but by the raw talent and unique perspective evident in every piece. "These are extraordinary, Lily," he said softly. "You have a real gift." Lily blushed, ducking her head. "Thank you," she murmured. "But it doesn't really matter, does it? It's not like I can do anything with it." Alexander frowned. "Why not? With talent like this, you could easily get into art school, build a career." Lily's bitter laugh cut him off. "Art school? I can barely afford a cup of coffee most days. And who's going to hire a homeless girl with no education and no experience?" The weight of her words hung heavy in the air between them. Alexander felt a surge of emotions, sympathy for her situation, admiration for her resilience, and a growing determination to help. "What if I told you I might be able to help with that?" he said carefully. "I have connections in the art world, and I'm always looking to invest in promising talent." Lily's eyes narrowed, the wariness returning to her gaze. "Why would you do that? You don't even know me." Alexander considered his words carefully. How could he explain the instant connection he felt to this young woman? Potential he saw in her that went beyond just her artistic talent. "Let's just say I know what it's like to have the odds stacked against you," he said finally. "I may be successful now, but I started with nothing. Someone took a chance on me once, gave me the opportunity to prove myself. I'd like to do the same for you." Lily was silent for a long moment, her fingers tracing the rim of her coffee cup. When she looked up, there was a mix of hope and fear in her eye. "And what would you want in return?" Question hung in the air between them, laden with implications. Alexander realized with a start how this must look from her perspective. A wealthy older man offering help to a vulnerable young woman. He felt a surge of protectiveness, along with a determination to prove his intentions were honorable. "Nothing," he said firmly. "I mean it, Lily. No strings attached. If you're willing to work hard and pursue your talent, I'm willing to provide the resources to make it happen. That's all." Lily studied him intently, searching for any sign of deception. Finally, she gave a small nod. "Okay," she said softly. "I'm not sure I trust you yet, but I'm willing to give it a try." As they exchanged contact information and made plans to meet again, Alexander felt a sense of excitement he hadn't experienced in years. He didn't fully understand why he felt so drawn to help this young woman, but he knew with certainty that his life had just taken an unexpected and potentially wonderful turn. Little did he know, as he watched Lily gather her few belongings and prepare to brave the rain once more, that this chance encounter would lead to a journey that would challenge everything he thought he knew about love, success, and the true meaning of wealth. The billionaire and the homeless girl were about to embark on an adventure that would change both their lives forever. The weeks following Alexander and Lily's chance encounter were a whirlwind of activity. True to his word, Alexander had begun opening doors for Lily, using his connections to set up meetings with art gallery owners, curators, and even a few professors from prestigious art schools. For Lily, it was like stepping into a dream world. Each day brought new experiences and opportunities that she had never dared to imagine. Yet despite the excitement, she couldn't shake a lingering sense of unease. The disparity between her world and Alexander's was stark, and she often felt like an imposter in the glittering realm of high society. One crisp autumn morning, Lily found herself standing outside the imposing glass and steel structure of Thornton Industries headquarters. She clutched her portfolio tightly, her heart racing as she approached the reception desk. "I'm here to see Mr. Thornton," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. The receptionist, a polished young woman with an impeccable blonde bob, looked her up and down with barely concealed disdain. "Do you have an appointment?" Before Lily could respond, a familiar deep voice called out from across the lobby. "It's all right, Jessica. Miss Parker is my guest." Alexander strode towards them, impeccably dressed in a tailored charcoal suit that probably cost more than Lily had ever possessed in her life. Yet his warm smile as he greeted her put her instantly at ease. "Come on up, Lily. I've got someone I'd like you to meet." As they rode the elevator to the top floor, Alexander filled her in on the day's agenda. "I've arranged a meeting with Sophia Winters. She's one of the top art consultants in the city, and she's interested in seeing your work." Lily's stomach churned with a mix of excitement and terror. "Are you sure I'm ready for this?" she asked, her voice small. Alexander placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Absolutely. Your talent speaks for itself, Lily. Just be yourself." The meeting with Sophia Winters was intense. The elegant, silver-haired woman scrutinized each piece in Lily's portfolio with a critical eye, asking probing questions about techniques and inspiration. Lily found herself drawing on reserves of confidence she didn't know she possessed, passionately defending her artistic choices. As the meeting concluded, Sophia turned to Alexander with a raised eyebrow. "Well, Alexander, it seems you found quite a diamond in the rough. Miss Parker, I'd be interested in featuring some of your work in an upcoming showcase for emerging artists. We'll be in touch." As they left the office, Lily felt lightheaded with disbelief. "Did that really just happen?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Alexander's laugh was rich and warm. "It really did. You were magnificent, Lily. How about we celebrate? Dinner at Le Bernardin?" Lily's elation faltered. "Oh, I don't think I have anything suitable to wear to a place like that." Alexander's expression softened. "Of course, I should have thought of that. How about we do some shopping first? My treat, as a congratulations on your success today." And so Lily found herself in a high-end boutique, surrounded by clothes that cost more than she'd ever dreamed of spending on herself. As she tried on outfit after outfit, she couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and guilt. Was it right to accept such expensive gifts? What would Alexander expect in return? As if reading her thoughts, Alexander spoke up from his seat outside the dressing room. "Lily, I want you to know that there's no obligation here. These clothes are tools, just like the art supplies we got you last week. They're to help you navigate this new world you're entering. Your talent is opening these doors. I'm just helping to smooth the way a bit." His words eased some of her anxiety, and Lily allowed herself to enjoy the experience. She settled on a simple but elegant black dress that made her feel sophisticated and confident. Dinner at Le Bernardin was unlike anything Lily had ever experienced. The opulent surroundings, the exquisite food, the attentive service, it was all overwhelming. Yet as she and Alexander talked and laughed over their meal, she found herself relaxing, genuinely enjoying his company. As the evening wore on, Lily found herself opening up about her past. She told Alexander about growing up in foster care, bouncing from home to home, about running away at 17 and ending up on the streets, about using her art as an escape, a way to create beauty in a world that often seemed dark and unforgiving. Alexander listened intently, his admiration for Lily growing with every word. Her resilience, passion, her unwavering spirit in the face of adversity. It all touched him deeply. As they were finishing their dessert, Alexander's phone buzzed with a message. His brow furrowed as he read it. "Is everything okay?" Lily asked, concerned. Alexander sighed. "It's work. There's a crisis with one of our overseas projects. I'm afraid I'll have to cut our evening short." Disappointment washed over Lily, followed quickly by guilt. Of course, Alexander had a life, responsibilities. She couldn't expect him to devote all his time to her. "Of course I understand," she said, forcing a smile. Alexander studied her for a moment, then made a decision. "Why don't you come with me?" Lily blinked in surprise. "To your office? I don't want to be in the way." You won't be, Alexander assured her. In fact, I'd value your perspective. You have a way of seeing things that's refreshing, different from the yes men I'm usually surrounded by. And so Lily found herself back at Thornton Industries, this time late at night. The bustling daytime activity had been replaced by a quieter, more intense energy as Alexander's crisis management team worked to resolve the issue. Lily sat quietly in a corner of the conference room, observing the proceedings with fascination. The rapid-fire exchange of ideas, the complex strategies being discussed, was like watching a high-stakes chess game. As the night wore on, she noticed Alexander becoming increasingly frustrated. Proposed solutions all seemed to involve cutting corners or potentially exploiting loopholes in local regulations. During a brief lull, Lily approached Alexander. "Can I make a suggestion?" she asked hesitantly. Alexander nodded, gesturing for her to continue. Drawing on her experiences of community and mutual support from her time on the streets, Lily proposed an alternative solution, one that involved partnering with local artisans and community leaders to not only solve the immediate crisis, but also create long-term benefits for the region. The room fell silent as she finished speaking. Then, slowly, Alexander began to smile. "That's brilliant," he said softly. "It solves our problem while also aligning with our corporate social responsibility goals. Johnson, get the team working on implementing Miss Parker's idea immediately." As the team sprang into action with renewed energy, Alexander turned to Lily with a look of wonder. "Continue to amaze me," he said softly. Lily blushed, ducking her head. "I just thought about what I would want if I were in their shoes," she murmured. As they left the office in the early hours of the morning, both exhausted but exhilarated, Alexander made a decision. "Lily, I'd like to offer you a job." Lily stopped in her tracks, staring at him in disbelief. "A job? But I don't know anything about business." Alexander shook his head, smiling. "You know more than you think. Your perspective, your creativity, empathy, these are invaluable assets. I'd like you to join our corporate social responsibility team. You can continue pursuing your art, of course, but I think you could make a real difference here." Lily's mind reeled. A job at a Fortune 500 company? It seemed impossible. Yet the events of the past few weeks had shown her that perhaps nothing was truly impossible. "Can I think about it?" she asked softly. Alexander nodded. "Of course. Take all the time you need." As they parted ways, Lily's head was spinning with the possibilities that lay before her. In just a few short weeks, her world had expanded beyond her wildest dreams. And at the center of it all was Alexander, this enigmatic billionaire who had stumbled into her life and turned it upside down. What she didn't know, as she made her way back to the small apartment Alexander had arranged for her, was that he was equally affected by their growing connection. For the first time in years, Alexander found himself thinking of something beyond business deals and profit margin. He was thinking of Lily, her smile, her passion, the way she saw the world. As he watched her walk away, Alexander realized with a start he was falling in love. The thought both thrilled and terrified him. How could he, hardened businessman with a reputation for being cold and calculating, be falling for a homeless artist he'd only known for a few weeks? Little did either of them know, but their journey together was only just beginning. The collision of their worlds would continue to spark challenges, growth, and discoveries that would change both their lives forever. Crisp autumn air had given way to winter's chill as Lily stood before the floor-to-ceiling windows of her new office, Thornton Industries. The view of New York City's skyline still took her breath away. Constant reminder of how far she had come in just a few short months. After much soul-searching, Lily had accepted Alexander's job offer. Her role in the corporate social responsibility team allowed her to merge her artistic sensibilities with her newfound business acumen, creating innovative programs that were making a real difference in communities around the world. Yet, despite her professional success, Lily couldn't shake a nagging sense of unease. Her feelings for Alexander had grown deeper each passing day. But the vast differences in their backgrounds and lifestyles often left her feeling out of place in his world. A knock at her office door pulled Lily from her reverie. "Come in," called, turning to see Alexander enter, a warm smile on his face. Ready for the gala tonight? He asked, his eyes twinkling with anticipation. Lily's stomach churned with a mix of excitement and anxiety. The annual Thornton Industries Charity Gala was one of the biggest events of the year, attracting the city's elite. It would be Lily's first time attending as both an employee and Alexander's date. As ready as I'll ever be, she replied, forcing a smile. Alexander's brow furrowed with concern. What's wrong, Lily? You've been distant lately. Lily sighed, struggling to put her feelings into words. It's just all of this. She gestured around the opulent office. Sometimes I feel like I don't belong here, like I'm playing a part in someone else's life. Alexander stepped closer, gently taking her hands in his. Lily, you belong here because of who you are, not where you came from. Your experiences, your perspective, they're what make you invaluable to this company. And, paused, his voice softening, to me. The sincerity in his eyes made Lily's heart flutter. She leaned in, their lips meeting in a tender kiss that spoke volumes about their growing feelings for each other. As they parted, Alexander smiled softly. Now, let's show New York's elite what real class looks like, shall we? Hours later, Lily found herself standing at the entrance of the grand ballroom, resplendent in a shimmering emerald gown that complemented her eyes. Alexander stood beside her, looking dashing in a perfectly tailored tuxedo. As they made their entrance, Lily could feel the weight of hundreds of eyes upon them. The room was filled with whispers and not-so-subtle glances. She caught snippets of conversation as they moved through the crowd. Is that the homeless girl Thornton's been seeing? I heard she's some kind of charity case. What could he possibly see in her? Lily's cheeks burned with embarrassment, but Alexander's steady presence beside her gave her strength. He introduced her proudly to business associates, philanthropists, and socialites, never once letting on that he heard the whispers. As the evening wore on, Lily found herself in conversation with Evelyn Cartwright, a formidable woman who sat on the board of several major charities. So, my dear, Evelyn said, her voice dripping with false sweetness, tell me, what exactly are your qualifications for your position at Thornton Industries? Besides the obvious, of course. Her eyes flicked meaningfully towards Alexander, who was engaged in conversation across the room. Lily felt a surge of anger, but she took a deep breath, channeling the strength she'd developed during her years on the streets. Mrs. Cartwright, she said calmly, my qualifications include a unique perspective on community needs, innovative problem-solving skills honed through years of survival in challenging circumstances, and a deep commitment to creating positive change. But perhaps my most important qualification is that I don't judge people based on their past or their social status. I judge them on their actions and their character. Evelyn's eyes widened in surprise, a flicker of respect crossing her features. Before she could respond, Alexander appeared at Lily's side. I couldn't have said it better myself, said, his voice filled with pride. Lily's insights have revolutionized our approach to corporate social responsibility. In fact, I'd love to tell you about our latest initiative. As Alexander launched into a description of a program Lily had developed to provide art education in underprivileged communities, Lily felt a warm glow of confidence. The first time she truly believed that she belonged in this world, not because of Alexander, because of her own merit. The rest of the evening passed in a blur of introductions, dancing, and surprisingly engaging conversations. By the time Lily and Alexander left the gala, she felt exhausted but exhilarated. You were amazing tonight, Alexander said, as they rode back to Lily's apartment in his limousine. The way you handled Evelyn Cartwright, I've seen seasoned CEOs crumble under her scrutiny. Lily laughed, the tension of the evening finally releasing. I've faced scarier people on the streets. At least Mrs. Cartwright wasn't likely to steal my shoes while I slept. Alexander's expression grew serious. Lily, I hope you know how much you mean to me. Seeing you tonight, so confident and passionate, I've never met anyone like you. Lily felt her heart race as Alexander leaned in, their lips meeting in a kiss that was filled with promise and deepening emotion. As the weeks passed, Lily and Alexander's relationship continued to blossom. They worked side by side at Thornton Industries, their complementary skills and perspectives leading to innovative new projects that were making waves in the business and philanthropic worlds. But their growing closeness also brought new challenges. The media caught wind of their relationship, and suddenly Lily found herself thrust into the spotlight. Paparazzi followed her every move, tabloids speculated wildly about her past, and internet trolls left cruel comments on every article about her. One morning, Lily arrived at work to find Alexander pacing in her office, a stack of tabloids on her desk. The headline screamed, "Thornton's Tramp. Billionaire's new squeeze has shady past. From rags to riches. Truth about Alexander Thornton's gold-digger girlfriend." "I'm so sorry, Lily," Alexander said, his voice tight with anger. "I never wanted to subject you to this kind of scrutiny." Lily picked up one of the magazines, her face impassive as she scanned the salacious article. Then, to Alexander's surprise, she began to laugh. "Oh, if they only knew," she said, shaking her head. "They think sleeping in a subway station is shady? Wait until they hear about the time I had to outrun a gang of art thieves who thought my sketchbook was full of stolen masterpieces." Alexander stared at her in amazement. "You never cease to amaze me," he said softly. "How can you laugh about this?" Lily's expression softened. "Alexander, I've spent most of my life being judged and misunderstood. These people," she gestured to the tabloids, "they don't know me. They don't know us. Their opinions don't matter." She stepped closer to him, taking his hands in hers. "What matters is this. Us. The work we're doing, the lives we're changing. That's real. Everything else is just noise." Alexander felt a swell of emotion as he looked into Lily's determined green eyes. In that moment, he knew with absolute certainty that he was in love with her. "Marry me," he blurted out, surprising even himself. Lily's eyes widened in shock. "What?" Alexander dropped to one knee, still holding her hands. "Lily Parker, you have changed my life in ways I never thought possible. You challenge me, inspire me, and make me want to be a better man. Will you marry me?" Lily felt her head spin. This was everything she had ever dreamed of, yet she hesitated. "Alexander, are you sure? The media backlash, the gossip, it will be brutal." Alexander stood, cupping her face gently. "Let them talk. Lily, you're the best thing that's ever happened to me. I love you, all of you. Your past, your present, and whatever future we build together. So what do you say? Will you make me the happiest man alive?" Tears sprang to Lily's eyes as she nodded, a radiant smile breaking across her face. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, I'll marry you." As they sealed their engagement with a kiss, both Lily and Alexander knew that the road ahead would not be easy. They would face scrutiny, judgment, and challenges from all sides. But they also knew that together, they could weather any storm. Little did they know, the biggest challenge to their love was yet to come. A challenge that would test the very foundations of their relationship and force them both to confront painful truths about themselves and each other. The news of Alexander Thornton's engagement to Lily Parker sent shockwaves through New York's high society. The media frenzy that followed was unprecedented, with paparazzi camped outside Thornton Industries and Lily's apartment around the clock. Despite the chaos, Lily and Alexander found themselves in a bubble of happiness, excitedly planning their future together. However, their bliss was short-lived. One chilly spring morning, Alexander's personal assistant, Clara, burst into his office, her face pale with worry. "Mr. Thornton, you need to see this," she said, handing him a tablet. Alexander's blood ran cold as he read the headline. Exclusive. Lily Parker's secret past revealed. Drugs, prostitution, and fraud. The article, published by a notorious tabloid, claimed to have insider information about Lily's time on the streets. It painted a lurid picture of drug addiction, prostitution, and involvement in a credit card fraud ring. While the allegations were vastly exaggerated and largely fabricated, they contained just enough truth to be believable. Alexander's mind raced. He knew about Lily's struggles during her homeless years, but she had never gone into great detail. Could there be truth to these allegations? Before he could process his thoughts, Lily burst into the office, her face streaked with tears. "Alexander, I swear, it's not true. Not most of it, anyway. I can explain." Alexander held up a hand, his face unreadable. "Not here," he said quietly. "Let's go home. We need to talk." The ride to Alexander's penthouse was tense, filled with an uncomfortable silence. Once inside, Lily collapsed onto the sofa, body racked with sobs. "I'm so sorry," he whispered. "I should have told you everything from the beginning. I was afraid." Alexander sat beside her, his voice gentle but firm. "Tell me now, Lily. The whole truth. And so, Lily began to speak. She told Alexander about the darkest days of her time on the streets, how hunger and desperation had led her to steal, how she had briefly turned to prostitution just to survive the winter, how she had fallen in with a group running a small-time credit card scam, though she had never participated directly. "I'm not proud of any of it," Lily said, her voice hoarse from crying. "But I swear, Alexander, I never did drugs. That part is a complete lie. And I left that life behind long before I met you. I've been clean and honest ever since." Alexander listened in silence, his face a mask of conflicting emotions. When Lily finished, he stood and walked to the window, staring out at the city skyline. "Why didn't you tell me all this before?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Lily wrapped her arms around herself, feeling small and vulnerable. "I was ashamed and afraid that if you knew the whole truth, you wouldn't want me anymore, that you'd see me as damaged goods." Alexander turned to face her, his eyes filled with a mixture of pain and compassion. "Lily, I love you, all of you. Your past is part of what made you the incredible woman you are today. But..." Lily felt her heart clench at that but. "But what?" she asked, dreading the answer. "But I need time to process this," Alexander said slowly. "And we need to think about how we're going to handle the media fallout. This could have serious repercussions for the company." Lily nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. "What do you want me to do?" Alexander sighed heavily. I think it might be best if you stay with a friend for a few days. Give us both some space to think." The words hit Lily like a physical blow. She stood on shaky legs, gathering her purse. "I understand," she said softly. "I'll go to Maria's place. She's the friend I told you about from my art class." As Lily reached the door, Alexander called out, "Lily?" She turned, hope flaring in her chest. "I do love you," he said. "That hasn't changed. We'll get through this." Lily managed a weak smile before leaving, her heart heavy with uncertainty. The days that followed were a blur of media chaos and emotional turmoil. Lily holed up in Maria's small apartment, avoiding the paparazzi and trying to come to terms with the possibility that she might have lost everything. Alexander, meanwhile, threw himself into damage control. He issued statements defending Lily's character while neither confirming nor denying the specific allegations. He met with the board of directors, assuring them that the scandal would not affect the company's operations or reputation. But even as he worked tirelessly to protect Lily and their relationship publicly, privately, Alexander was grappling with his own doubts and fears. He had always prided himself on his judgment, on his ability to read people. Had he been so blinded by love that he had missed crucial aspects of Lily's character? A week after the story broke, Alexander found himself sitting in his therapist's office, something he hadn't done in years. "Tell me, Alexander," Dr. Simmons said gently, "what scares you most about this situation?" Alexander was quiet for a long moment. "I'm afraid," he began, then paused, gathering his thought. "I'm afraid that I don't really know Lily, that I've built this idea of her in my head, and the reality doesn't match up." Dr. Simmons nodded thoughtfully. "And if that were true, what would it mean for your relationship?" Alexander ran a hand through his hair, a rare gesture of frustration. "I don't know. I love her. I know that much. But can I trust her? Can I build a life with someone who kept such big secrets from me?" As Alexander grappled with his feelings, Lily was doing some soul-searching of her own. She spent hours talking with Maria, examining her past actions and the person she had become. "I've spent so long running from my past," Lily confided in her friend, "trying to be the person I thought Alexander wanted me to be. But maybe I need to fully accept who I am, where I've come from, before I can truly be with him." With Maria's encouragement, Lily made a decision. She would face her past head-on, not just for Alexander's sake, but for her own. 2 weeks after the story broke, Lily asked Alexander to meet her at their favorite coffee shop, the same one where they had first gotten to know each other all those months ago. When Alexander arrived, he found Lily sitting at their usual table, a thick notebook in front of her. She looked up as he approached, her green eyes clear and determined. "Thank you for coming," she said softly. Alexander sat down, his face a mixture of love and apprehension. "Of course, Lily, But Lily held up a hand, stopping him. "Please, let me speak first. I have something I need to show you." She pushed the notebook towards him. This is my story. All of it. Every mistake, every struggle, every small victory. I've spent the past 2 weeks writing it all down. No more secrets, no more shame. Alexander looked down at the notebook, then back at Lily, surprise evident on his face. I realize now that by hiding parts of myself from you, I wasn't just being dishonest, Lily continued. I was underestimating you and your love for me. I was letting my fear control me. But I'm not afraid anymore, Alexander. I love you, and I want you to know all of me. Good, bad, everything in between. Took a deep breath, her voice steady as she concluded. If after reading this you still want to be with me, I promise to always be honest with you no matter what. And if you don't, well, at least I'll know I was true to myself. Alexander sat in stunned silence for a moment, overwhelmed by Lily's gesture. Then slowly he reached out and took her hand. Lily, he said, his voice thick with emotion. Thank you. This means more to me than you can know. As they sat there, hands clasped across the table, both Lily and Alexander knew that they were at a crossroads. The path ahead was uncertain, filled with potential pitfalls and challenges, but they also knew that whatever came next, they would face it, honesty, courage, and love. Little did they know, the greatest test of their relationship was yet to come. Challenge that would force them to confront not just their past and present, but their very different visions of the future. The weeks that followed Lily's revelation were a period of deep introspection and honest conversations for both her and Alexander. True to his word, Alexander read every word of Lily's notebook, often staying up late into the night, absorbing the raw, unfiltered story of her life. As he turned the final page, Alexander felt a profound sense of awe and respect for the woman he loved. Lily's journey from a scared, homeless girl to the strong, compassionate woman she had become was nothing short of remarkable. Her resilience in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds touched him deeply. One crisp autumn evening, Alexander invited Lily to join him for a walk in Central Park. As they strolled hand in hand, the air filled with the scent of fallen leaves, Alexander finally broke the silence. Lily, began, his voice soft but firm, I want you to know that I've read everything. I want to thank you for trusting me with your truth. Lily's heart raced, hope and fear warring within her. And, she asked, barely above a whisper. Alexander stopped, turning to face her. His steel-gray eyes were filled with emotion as he cupped her face gently. And I love you, more than ever. Your past, your struggles, they're part of what makes you the incredible woman you are. I'm honored that you shared them with me, and I promise to always cherish and protect your trust. Tears of relief and joy sprang to Lily's eyes as Alexander pulled her into a tender embrace. As they stood there, holding each other close, both felt a sense of a new chapter beginning in their relationship, one built on a foundation of complete honesty and acceptance. However, their journey was far from over. As they began to plan their future together, new challenges emerged, testing the strength of their bond once again. One such challenge came in the form of their differing views on wealth and social responsibility. Lily, shaped by her experiences on the streets, felt a deep-seated need to give back to the community. She proposed using a significant portion of their combined wealth to establish a foundation focused on homeless youth and arts education. Alexander, while supportive of Lily's philanthropic goals, was more cautious. He worried about maintaining their lifestyle and securing their future. Their discussions on the topic often became heated, revealing a fundamental difference in their values and priority. I just don't understand why we need 3 vacation homes when that money could be used to help so many people, Lily argued during one such debate. Alexander sighed, running a hand through his hair. Lily, I admire your passion, but we need to be practical. We have responsibilities, obligations. We can't just give everything away. The tension between them grew, threatening to drive a wedge in their relationship. It was clear that they needed to find a middle ground, a way to honor both their individual values and their shared love. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. During a charity gala, Lily found herself in conversation with Evelyn Cartwright, the same formidable woman who had once questioned her qualifications at Thornton Industries. My dear, Evelyn said, her tone surprisingly warm, I must say, you've proven me wrong. The work you've been doing with Thornton's corporate social responsibility initiatives is truly impressive." Lily blushed at the compliment. "Thank you, Mrs. Cartwright. It means a lot to hear you say that." Evelyn leaned in, her voice lowering conspiratorially. "Now, about this foundation you and Alexander are squabbling over. Have you considered a hybrid model, combining for-profit ventures with non-profit initiatives?" The conversation that followed opened Lily's eyes to new possibilities. She spent the next week researching and developing a proposal that would bridge the gap between her and Alexander's visions. When she presented her idea to Alexander, his eyes lit up with excitement. Lily's plan involved creating a series of social enterprises, businesses that would generate profit while also addressing social issues. These profits would then fund their philanthropic endeavors, creating a sustainable model for giving back. "This is brilliant, Lily," Alexander said, poring over the proposal. "It combines the best of both worlds, smart business practices with meaningful social impact." Together, they refined the plan, each contributing their unique strengths and perspectives. Alexander's business acumen complemented Lily's innovative ideas and deep understanding of community needs. As they worked side by side, they found a new level of respect and admiration for each other's skills and values. The launch of the Thornton Parker Foundation marked a new era for the couple. Their first project was the renovation of an abandoned building in Lily's old neighborhood, transforming it into a community center that offered art classes, job training, and support services for homeless youth. On the day of the center's grand opening, Lily stood before the gathered crowd, her heart full of emotion. Alexander stood beside her, his hand reassuringly on the small of her back. "When I was living on these streets," Lily began, her voice strong and clear, "I never imagined I'd be standing here today. This center represents more than just a building. It's a symbol of hope, second chances, and of the power of love and community to transform lives." As she spoke, Lily's eyes scanned the crowd. She saw familiar faces from her past, fellow street artists, kind strangers who had once offered her a warm meal or a safe place to sleep. But she also saw new faces, business leaders, politicians, and community members, all united in support of their cause. "This is just the beginning," Lily continued. "Together, we can create a world where no one is left behind, where everyone has the opportunity to reach their full potential." The applause that followed was thunderous. As Lily and Alexander cut the ribbon to officially open the center, both felt a profound sense of accomplishment and purpose. Later that evening, as they stood on the balcony of their penthouse, looking out over the city they were working to change, Alexander turned to Lily with a smile. "You know," he said softly, "when I first saw you sketching in the rain all those months ago, I never imagined where that moment would lead us." Lily leaned into him, a contented sigh escaping her lips. "Life has a funny way of surprising us, doesn't it?" Alexander nodded, pulling her closer. "That it does, but I wouldn't change a thing. You've made my life richer in ways I never thought possible, Lily. You've taught me the true meaning of success and happiness." As they stood there, wrapped in each other's arms, both Lily and Alexander reflected on the incredible journey that had brought them to this point. From a chance encounter between a billionaire and a homeless girl to a partnership that was changing lives and challenging societal norms, their story was a testament to the transformative power of love, understanding, and shared purpose. The road ahead would undoubtedly hold more challenges. There would be skeptics to prove wrong, obstacles to overcome, and new heights to reach. But Lily and Alexander knew that together they could face anything. Their love story had captured the public's imagination, inspiring countless others to look beyond social barriers and see the potential in unexpected connection. But more than that, it had transformed them both, pushing them to become better versions of themselves and to use their combined strengths to make a real difference in the world. As the sun set over New York City, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Lily and Alexander shared a tender kiss. In that moment, they weren't a former homeless girl and a billionaire. They were simply two people in love, united by a shared vision and a commitment, creating a better world. Their story was far from over. In fact, in many ways, it was just beginning. But whatever the future held, Lily and Alexander knew that they would face it together. their love a beacon of hope in a world that too often forgot the power of compassion, second chances, and the unexpected connections that can change everything.